My name is Armando, and I'm 73 years old. It took me 52 years to learn something I should have understood by 20. And now that I finally understand, I realize how much time I wasted, how many opportunities I let slip by, how much of life I lived without truly living. I'm going to tell you what I learned, and I'm going to beg you not to make the same mistake I did, not to waste half a century of your life chasing the wrong things. Because when you finally realize, when you finally understand what truly matters, it may be too late to make up for lost time. I was born in 1951 in a small town near Puebla. My father was a bricklayer. My mother sold tamales at the market. We were poor, but not destitute. We had a roof over our heads, food and clothes, but we never had enough. There was never any extra money. There were never any luxuries. And from a very young age, that bothered me. I remember when I was 8 years old, there was a boy at my school, Sebastian, who always brought fancy lunch boxes, sandwiches with real ham, store-bought cookies, carton juice, and I brought tortillas with beans wrapped in newspaper. I was ashamed. I would hide to eat, because I didn't want anyone to see that I was poor. One day, Sebastian saw me eating my tortillas. He laughed. He told his friends I ate poor people's food, and something inside me broke that day. I promised myself I would never be the poor kid again. That one day I would have so much money no one could make fun of me. That I would prove to everyone I was worth something. That promise became my obsession, my identity. Everything I did was to prove that I was no longer that kid with tortillas wrapped in newspaper. I studied like crazy, not because I enjoyed studying, but because I knew education was my ticket out of poverty. I started working when I was 12. After school, I helped my father in construction. On weekends, I washed cars. During vacations, I did whatever I could get paid for. I saved every penny. While my friends spent their money on candy or going to the movies, I saved mine. I had a can buried in my backyard where I hid my savings. I counted that money every night. Not because it was a lot, but because it made me feel like I was making progress, like I was escaping. At 19, in 1970, I went to Mexico City with 2 suitcases and 300 pesos saved. I didn't know anyone. I didn't have a job waiting for me, but I had determination, and I thought that was enough. The first few years were brutal. I slept in shared rooms with 5 or 6 other people. I ate once a day to save money. I worked any job I could find. Construction, delivery, cleaning, anything that paid. But I was always looking for something more, something better, a chance to move up. And in 1973, I found it. I got a job in a clothing factory. I started on the production floor, operating machines. But I observed everything, how the business worked, who made the decisions, where the opportunities were. I volunteered for everything, extra shifts, weekends, holidays. If there was work, I was there. The supervisors noticed me. By 25, I was a floor supervisor. By 28, a production manager, and the money started coming in. Not much at first, but more than I'd ever seen. I bought new clothes, real shoes, not the plastic ones I wore as a kid. I rented an apartment for myself, small but mine, and I felt victorious, as if I had finally proven something, as if I was finally worth something. I met Teresa in 1976. She worked in the factory's accounting department. She was beautiful, intelligent. She had a smile that lit up her whole face. She invited me for coffee 3 times before I accepted, not because I wasn't interested, but because I was so focused on work that I didn't have time for anything else. But she insisted, and I finally said yes. We had coffee one Thursday afternoon. We talked for 2 hours. She told me about her family in Veracruz, about how she loved reading poetry, about her dream of one day opening a small bookstore. I told her about my plans, about how I wanted to have my own business, about how I was going to be successful, about all the things I was going to achieve. She listened. She smiled. But in her eyes I saw something I didn't understand then. A small shadow of concern. As if she knew something I didn't yet know. We got married in 1977. I was 26, she was 24. It was a simple wedding. We didn't have the money for anything elaborate, but Teresa was happy, radiant. She looked at me that day as if I were the only thing she needed in the world. I promised her I would give her a good life, that I would work hard, that she would never lack anything, and she believed me. The first years of marriage were difficult. I worked 12, 14 hours a day. Teresa worked too, but she came home before me. She made dinner. She waited for me, and when I arrived, always late, always tired, she smiled. She served me the food. She asked me about my day. At first, I shared. I told her about my work, my plans, and the opportunities I was pursuing. But little by little, I stopped sharing because I was too tired, too busy, and too focused on the next step. In 1980, I decided it was time to start my own business. I quit the factory. I used all our savings. I borrowed money. I opened a small garment workshop, just me and 3 employees. We worked day and night to fulfill the orders. Teresa was scared. She told me that maybe it was too risky, that maybe we should wait a little longer, save more. But I wouldn't listen. I was convinced that this was my path, my destiny, and that any sacrifice would be worth it. The first 2 years nearly destroyed us. The business was barely surviving. There were months when we didn't even have enough money for food. Months when I thought we were going to lose everything. But I kept going, because giving up meant admitting I had failed. And I couldn't do that. Not after coming this far. Teresa worked with me. Without pay, without complaints. She handled the accounting. She delivered orders. She did whatever needed doing. And she never made me feel guilty for getting her into it. She never said, "I told you so." The business finally took off in 1983. We landed big contracts. We started to grow. I hired more employees. I bought more machines. The money started rolling in. Really, for the first time in my life, I had more money than I needed. I bought a house, a car, designer clothes, all the things I never had as a kid, and every purchase felt like a victory, like proof that I had triumphed, that I was no longer that poor kid. Our daughter Claudia was born in 1984. I was 33 years old. When Teresa called to tell me she was in labor, I was in an important meeting, closing a big deal. I told her I would finish and then go. I arrived at the hospital 4 hours later. Claudia had already been born. Teresa was in bed holding our daughter. She looked at me when I walked in. She didn't say anything. She didn't have to. I knew I had failed. Again. I picked up Claudia and felt something that frightened me. A love so profound that it made me realize how selfish I had been. This little girl depended on me, not just for food and shelter, but for love, attention, presence. I promised myself I would be a good father, that I would be there for her, that I wouldn't make the same mistakes I was making as a husband. But promises are easy to make and hard to keep. The business kept growing, and I kept working more. I justified my absence by telling myself I was building a future for my family, that someday, when we had enough money, I could relax. Then I could be the husband and father I wanted to be. But enough never came, because every time I reached a financial goal, I set a new one. Every time I thought I was successful, I found someone more successful and felt inadequate again. I remember when Claudia was 6 years old. It was her first day of school. Teresa begged me to go with them. It was important, but I had a meeting, an important client. I told her I would go to the next important event, that I would make it up to her. I never made up for it, because there was always something more important. There was always a meeting I couldn't miss. There was always a client who required my immediate attention. Teresa stopped asking me to be there. She stopped inviting me to Claudia's events. She built a life without me, not out of resentment, but out of necessity, because she couldn't keep waiting for someone who never showed up. When Claudia was 10 years old in 1994, the business was already worth several million pesos. We had 100 employees, 3 locations. We were one of the largest workshops in the city, and I was miserable. I didn't realize it then. I thought I was stressed, that I was tired. But looking back, I realize I was miserable because I had sacrificed everything that mattered for something that didn't matter at all. One night I got home at 11. Claudia was still awake. She was waiting for me in the living room. She told me she had won a prize at school, a writing prize. She was so proud. She showed me her essay. I was exhausted. I said, "Very well, my love," without really reading it. She stood there, waiting for me to say something else, waiting for me to care, and I just wanted to go to sleep. Finally, she went to her room, silent, disappointed. I found that essay years later. It was about her hero. He had written about her grandfather, my father, about how, despite being poor, he always had time for her, about how he made her laugh, about how he made her feel special. His hero wasn't me. It was my father, the man I'd spent my whole life trying not to be. The man I thought had failed because he was poor, and it turns out he'd accomplished something I couldn't. He'd been present, he'd mattered. In 2000, Teresa asked me for a divorce. We had been married for 23 years. Claudia was 16. Teresa sat down with me one night and told me she couldn't take it anymore, that she had spent more than 2 decades being invisible in her own marriage, that she deserved more than being the house manager while I lived at the office. I tried to convince her to stay. I promised her I would change, that I would work less, that we would spend more time together. She just shook her head. She said, "Armando, you've promised me that for 23 years. I don't believe you anymore. And honestly, I don't care anymore." That's what hurt the most. Not that she was angry, but that she didn't care anymore. I had spent so much time ignoring her that she had learned not to need me. She had learned to live without me. And now that I wanted to be there, it was too late. The divorce was quick. Teresa didn't want to fight over money. She just wanted her freedom. She took what she needed and left. And I stayed in that big house, surrounded by all the things I'd bought to prove my success, feeling completely empty. Claudia chose to live with her mother. I can't blame her. Teresa was the one who had been there, the one who had raised her. I was just the man who paid the bills. We saw each other on weekends, well, some weekends, when I didn't have a job. The conversations were forced, awkward. She had grown up without me. We were strangers who shared DNA. After the divorce, I threw myself even deeper into my work, because it was the only thing I knew how to do, the only thing I was good at. The company kept growing. In 2005, I sold a majority stake for an obscene amount of money. I took a partial retirement. I was 54 years old and had more money than I could ever spend, and I had no idea what to do with myself. I tried to travel. I went to Europe, to Asia, places I'd always wanted to see. But traveling alone is sad. You see couples, families, groups of friends, and you're there, eating alone in fancy restaurants, taking pictures no one will ever see. I tried to have relationships. I met women, I dated a few, but it never worked out because I didn't know how to be vulnerable, how to truly connect. I had spent 50 years building walls around my heart. I didn't know how to tear them down. Claudia got married in 2011. I was invited, of course. I walked her down the aisle because that was expected. But when I had to give a speech at the reception, I didn't know what to say. I had no stories. We had no shared moments, just vague generalities about how proud I was. Her father-in-law gave his speech after mine. He told specific stories, real moments. He made everyone laugh. And I sat there realizing that this man knew my daughter better in 3 years than I had known her in her entire life. Claudia had 2 children, my grandchildren, Diego in 2013, Martina in 2015. I see them occasionally, on birthdays, at Christmas, but I'm a stranger to them. The grandfather who shows up with expensive gifts but doesn't know their favorite TV shows or what they like to eat. 2 years ago, I had a health scare, a minor heart attack. Nothing serious, the doctor said, but enough to frighten me. I was alone when it happened. I managed to call emergency services. They took me to the hospital. I was there for 3 days before anyone came to visit me. Claudia came over, out of obligation, I suppose. She stayed for 30 minutes. She asked me how I was. We talked about the weather, about her children, superficial conversation. Then she left. She had to pick the children up from school. Lying in that hospital bed, hooked up to machines, I had a revelation. One of those brutal insights that only come when you confront your own mortality. I realized I had wasted my entire life. I had spent 50 years chasing success, building wealth, proving my worth. And for what? I had money. I had a big house. I had an expensive car. I had all the things I thought would make me happy. And I was completely, absolutely alone. No one would miss me if I died. No one would really cry. Claudia would be sad, I suppose, but she'd go on with her life. Teresa would probably come to the funeral out of respect, but not because she felt she'd lost something valuable. I realized I'd spent my whole life trying not to be my father, and in the process, I'd lost everything that made him a good man. He was poor, but he was loved. He had time for people, he was present, he mattered. I was rich, and I was alone, because I had sacrificed relationships for possessions. I had traded love for success. I had confused my worth with my bank account. When I left the hospital, I tried to make changes. I called Claudia more often. I tried to spend more time with my grandchildren, but it was awkward, forced, too little, too late. You can't build in 2 years what you didn't build in 50. You can't expect people to let you in when you've spent decades keeping them out. I am 73 years old now. I live alone in an apartment, not in the big house. I sold it. It was too much space for one person, too many memories of a family that no longer exists. I have money, more than I need, but it means nothing because I have no one to share it with, no one to worry about whether I'm okay, no one to miss me if I don't show up. Here's what it took me 52 years to learn. Success without relationships is just a fancy way of being alone. Money without love is just paper. Achievements without people to celebrate them with are just empty numbers. I spent my whole life chasing the wrong things. I thought that if I had enough money, if I achieved enough success, then I would be happy. Then I would be worth something. Then I could relax and enjoy life. But that day never came. Because happiness doesn't come from external things. It comes from connections, from relationships, from being present with the people you love. My father, the man I spent my whole life trying to surpass, understood something that took me 52 years to learn. He understood that true success isn't measured in money, it's measured in love, in presence, in the lives you touch. He died poor, but he died surrounded by people who loved him, who missed him, whose lives were better because he had been a part of them. I'm going to die rich, and I'll probably die alone, because I spent my whole life accumulating things instead of building relationships, because I chose success over love, because I confused value with wealth. I see young men today making the exact same mistakes, working 80 hours a week, chasing the next promotion, the next million, sacrificing their marriages, their families, their health, all for success. And I want to shout at you, stop, don't make my mistake. Don't waste 50 years of your life chasing something that won't make you happy. Don't sacrifice the people you love for things that don't matter. Your wife doesn't need a bigger house. She needs your attention. Your children don't need expensive toys. They need your time. Your family doesn't need you to be rich. They need you to be present. And you don't need to prove anything to anyone. You don't need the most expensive car or the biggest house or the most impressive job. You need love, connection, real relationships. Money comes and goes. Jobs come and go. But relationships, real connections with real people, that's the only thing that truly matters. And once you lose them, once the people you love learn to live without you, it's almost impossible to get them back. Don't waste 52 years like I did. Don't wait until you're old and alone to realize you chased the wrong things. Learn now, today, before it's too late. Choose people over possessions. Choose presence over achievements. Choose love over success. Because in the end, when you're old and looking back, the only things that will matter are the relationships you built, the people you loved, the moments you shared. Everything else is just noise. If this resonates with you, share it. Share it with that friend who's working late again, with that parent who's missing out on their children's lives, with someone who's making the same mistakes I made. And leave me a comment. Tell me what you're going to change, what you're going to prioritize differently, what kind of relationship you're going to nurture. Because I need to know that my story, with all its pain and regret, can prevent someone else from wasting their life the way I wasted mine. Subscribe, because I have more lessons to share, more truths learned the hard way, more warnings about the mistakes that destroy lives without you even realizing it until it's too late. I won't be here forever, but while I am, I want to use my experience to help you avoid ending up like me, alone, regretful, rich in money, but poor in everything that truly matters. Time is running out for me, for you, for all of us. Don't waste it chasing the wrong things. It didn't take me 52 years to learn this for you to make the same mistake. Learn now, live now, love now, before it's too late.